For decades, we've been told that 65 is the magic number for retirement. It's the age tied to Social Security and Medicare, and after all, it's what our parents and even our grandparents did. But here's something you may not have considered. 65 might actually be too late. Over the years, I worked with many families who've reached their late 50s and they realized they were sitting at a crossroads. They had the money, they had the health, and they had the desire for more freedom, but they still felt trapped by the old script that says, you work until 65 and then you can retire. Here's what I tell them. For a lot of people, 58 ends up being the perfect age to retire. Not because you're guaranteed financial freedom, but because the math, the lifestyle, and your health often align in ways that give you the best of both worlds, financial stability and the energy to enjoy it. So why 58? And how do you know if it's realistic for you? That's what I want to unpack in today's video. Hi, I'm Mark Wisniewski, President of Southern Incomes. In this video, I'll show you the 5 reasons why age 58 might be the perfect retirement age, the pitfalls you need to watch for, and some of the strategies that can help bridge the gap between leaving work and collecting benefits. If you find this helpful, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more retirement insights, and if you'd like to stress test your own plan, book a time with me using the link in the description. Reason 1. Your health and energy are at their peak. One of the biggest benefits of retiring at 58, it's really not financial at all, it's quality of life. By your late 50s, you're often still active and energetic. You may not have the same aches and medical challenges or limitations that start creeping in during your 60s and 70s. That means if you retire at 58, you're retiring into a stage of life where you actually have the health to enjoy it. I had a client, let's call him David, who was right around 58 when he came to me. He had a successful career, but his work required long hours and heavy travel, even international. Financially, he was in very good shape, but what really hit him was when he said, Mark, my dad passed away at 72. That would give me 14 years of retirement, even if I make it that far. Do I really want to spend the next 7 years grinding just to retire at 65? That question changed everything for him. He realized that the years between 58 and 68 could be some of the most meaningful of his life. Traveling with his wife, spending time with his grandkids, and pursuing passions that his career had put on hold. Now, does that mean everyone should pull the plug at 58? No. But it does mean you should ask yourself, if you had a choice, would you rather have more money in your 70s or more time and energy in your 50s and 60s? For many people, the answer is clear. Reason 2, financial flexibility before 59 and a half. Here's the big concern I hear. Mark, I can't retire at 58. I'll get hit with penalties if I touch my retirement accounts. Now, it's true, the IRS generally penalizes withdrawals from retirement accounts before age 59 and a half. But there are strategies that can bridge the gap. One option is the Rule 72T. This rule allows you to take substantial, equal periodic payments. How's that for a mouthful? From your retirement accounts without paying that 10% penalty. The catch? Well, you must commit to a specific withdrawal schedule. And it's not for everyone, but for some, it can provide penalty-free income to cover those bridge years. Another strategy many people have never heard of is the age 55 rule. If you separate from your employer in the year you turn 55 or later, you can take withdrawals from that employer 401k without the penalty. That's a powerful option for someone leaving work at 58. And of course, if you built up taxable investment accounts or cash savings outside of your retirement accounts, those can also serve as a bridge. Here's the key point. Retiring at 58 doesn't mean draining your 401k early on. It does mean being strategic on where that income comes from in those first couple of years. With planning, it can absolutely be done without unnecessary penalties. Reason 3, the strategic gap years before Social Security. At 58, you're going to be too young to claim Social Security. But that's not a bad thing. In fact, it can be a major advantage. Why? Because those years between 58 and 62, or even 70 if you delay, are what I call the tax planning sweet spot. Here's why. You're no longer earning a paycheck, which likely drops you in the lower tax bracket. You haven't started Social Security yet, so you're not paying taxes on those benefits. You also don't have required minimum distributions, or RMDs, until you turn 73. That window creates the perfect opportunity for Roth conversions. By strategically moving money from tax-deferred accounts into a Roth IRA, you can lock in lower tax rates and reduce your future RMD burden. I work with a couple, let's call them Karen and Bill, who retired just around 58. And we use their gap years to convert a portion of their IRA each year into a Roth. And by the time they hit 70, not only did they have a tax-free Roth bucket, but they also had reduced their RMDs significantly. That gave them more control over their income and taxes for the rest of their retirement. So instead of worrying about the lack of Social Security at 58, you might think of it as a planning advantage. Reason 4, lifestyle costs become clearer. One of the challenges of retirement planning in your 30s and 40s and even your early 50s is that your expenses can still be pretty unpredictable. You may still be raising kids, paying for college, covering that mortgage. But by 58, things usually start to stabilize. The kids are often independent, the mortgage may be close to paid off, and you have a clearer sense of what your lifestyle actually costs month to month. That clarity makes it much easier to run the math. Instead of asking, how much do I need to retire? You can now start asking, how much do I need for my lifestyle? For example, I had clients right around 58 who thought they needed $15,000 a month in retirement. They had that number in their mind. But once we mapped out their actual expenses, it turned out they only needed about $9,500. That $5,500 difference completely changed their outlook. It allowed them to retire earlier with confidence. Reason 5, avoiding the wait too long trap. The biggest risk I see in retirement planning is not running out of money. It is running out of time. Too many people work until they're 65 or 70 because they want to feel 100% safe. But here's the reality. You'll never feel completely ready. There will always be uncertainty, market volatility, tax law changes, healthcare costs. What I've seen is that many people who wait, they regret the years that they gave up. They spent their healthiest years working when they could have been enjoying life. Now, this doesn't mean you should jump in without a plan, but it does mean you should stress test your retirement. Run the scenarios. What if markets drop 20%? What if you live to 95? What if healthcare costs rise faster than you expect? With the right plan in place, you can often see that retiring at 58 is not only possible, it may actually be smarter than waiting until 65. Pitfalls to watch for. Of course, retiring at 58 isn't all upside. There are some challenges that you need to plan for. 1, healthcare costs before Medicare. You won't qualify for Medicare until 65, so you'll need to plan for private insurance or COBRA coverage. For many retirees, this is going to be the single biggest hurdle to early retirement. 2, longevity risk. Retiring at 58 means your money may need to last 30 years or more. And that's going to require a well-designed withdrawal strategy that balances growth with stability. 3, inflation. Costs do not stay static. If inflation averages just 3% a year, your expenses are going to double about every 24 years, so you need investments to keep pace with that. 4, emotional adjustment. Retirement isn't just financial. Many people struggle with identity and finding their purpose once they leave their careers. It's true, happens all the time. It's important to think about how you're going to fill your days, not just your bank account. These are real risks, but they're also manageable risks with the right planning. So is 58 the perfect retirement age? For many people, it just might be. It's an age where health, finances, and lifestyle often intersect in a powerful way. But whether 58 works for you, it depends on your unique numbers, your income sources, your goals. Here's my advice. Don't just assume 65 is the right answer. Stress test your plan. Run the numbers. Ask yourself, what are those extra 7 years of freedom really worth to you? And if you'd like help figuring that out, whether you can retire at 58 or 65 or somewhere in between, book a call with me using the link in the description. Together, we can build a retirement income plan that gives you confidence and clarity no matter when you decide to step away from your work.